All right, welcome back to Team Let's Play YGO. We back with the homie DJ with some spicy deck lists for you. DJ, tell them what you got in store for us today.
So today, as you guys can probably tell from that, I got us a little bit of that Yubel. So today I was playing Yubel Unchained, actually. A little bit of fun. I already got my invite, but I wanted to have some fun today at this regional. Catch people off guard a little bit, do a little bit of damage, super poly. My board's away. But overall today, super fun, had a good time. Now just hop right into the deck profile. So start off with the hand traps, shifter. So this is a graveyard, format. I don't want to read any cards. I just want to activate this and say my turn. For the most part, this deck doesn't really care about the shifter. Like I said, we have spells and traps that allow us to gain back our Yubel from banished or in the grave. We also have monsters that trigger when they're destroyed any way, shape, or form. So whether or not we have a graveyard or not doesn't really impact us, and this cuts off obviously a lot of the best decks today. So I'm really happy I had it. Pretty standard into the hand traps. We have 3 Ash. Nothing to really say about it, just Ash. Then of course, 2 Nibs. I thought about playing 3, but I'm already over 40, and it's a little bit bricky. This was good to have a lot. It checks a lot of people. Obviously, better players don't get caught by it as much, but especially into the Snake Eyes combo, I want to have something that forces out an interruption or a negate, so that way my Spirit of Yubel, my other cards will definitely resolve. And honestly, people are always caught off guard when I nib them and I give them the token in attack position, because when it's my turn, I summon Yubel, I crash into the token, they take a bajillion damage, so pretty standard. Into the engines, I play 3 Dark Beckoning Beasts. Most people don't know what this does. This grabs me any spell trap that mentions Yubel. So I can grab a card that mentions it. So I grab the Gates. It's a 3-2 package. I used to play 3 and 3. This has like 14 effects on it. On activation, it grabs me a card that mentions also any of the Sacred Beasts, which both of these mention. So I can normal summon this, grab this, activate, or I can activate this, grab this. Same thing, normal summon it. This also gives me another normal summon of a monster with 0 attack, 0 defense, which the Yubel cards have. So it's a lot of good synergy. This has so many additional effects. I can pitch a card, bring back a monster in the grave that has 0 attack and 0 defense. So I can bring back in my Yubel monsters, and I can use this for free link fodder. I can also, if I control level 10, which Yubel happens to be, I can grab back a continuous spell. So sometimes I was recurring my resources that my opponents were destroying or pitching another one of these and then adding it right back for free. So I was essentially not having to pay cost for a lot of my cards, and regaining advantage was pretty good. Honestly, I really had a good time with these. This engine is like really good. On to the next. Obviously, I play the Bricks, the 1 Yubel, and the Terra Incarnate. I don't play the 3rd version, only because it doesn't come up as much. You have to play the 1/1, I believe, of both. This card, honestly, I don't want to see it in my hand, but if I do, it's not the end of the world. Always triggers. Super good to have and catches people off guard. Then we have Spirit of Yubel. Right now, the heart and soul of the deck until we get the next wave of support.
Broken card.
Obviously. So for those people that don't know what it does, when a monster clears an attack, so if you're, let's say, swinging at me, I can trigger the effect to special summon, so almost like a battle fader. On special summon, I can add or set a spell trap that mentions Yubel. So you can dodge Droll pretty easily in this deck, especially since we're playing Shifter. But you can avoid it by choosing to set the card. And you can grab the trap card, which is a super poly, your continuous spell, which is your recursion and searchability in the deck. Overall, just a heart and soul and way to actually keep the deck playing. We play 3 of our quote-unquote Lone Fire Blossom. This also has a secondary effect. Besides distributing to summon a Yubel monster, this also is a quote-unquote monster negate. It changes my opponent's monster effect to destroy Yubel instead. So if they activate something I don't like while I have Yubel on board, I'll say, okay, effect, get rid of itself, and I'll change your effect to destroy my Yubel, which will obviously trigger her and allow me to plus off of it.
Similar to the Gossip Shadow.
Oh yeah, this felt really good to have today. Obviously a level 1/1/1 target. And the 0 attack, 0 defense stats really matter to create the synergy with the deck, like I said, with the Gates package. So overall, super happy. Then I play another normal summon. I wanted to play the Unchained package, but I didn't want to go too heavy on it. So I played 3 Tour Guide. Felt pretty free, like I said. With it, I played the 1 Fiendish. So usually, Fiendish is what I'm grabbing off of it. But on occasion, I would summon another Tour Guide or like special from hand just to link climb with. But this is usually going to be your main target here to go into the Unchained line, where you're dumping your Shavara. So if I played the other Blue Dog, which I was in my earlier builds, it would come up to give me additional link material, but it also lets me link climb a lot to provide another 4 layer of interruption. So it was just overall pretty good. Gives me what I need to establish a threatening board And then something else that my opponent has to contest before challenging the Yubel cards. Onto the spell cards, I play 1-for-1, obviously. The best cards are the level 1, like my Samsara Lotus and even my other spells, so it's good to have. The Ritual Chronicle is the one of. I don't see it going up in the future. Right now, every time a monster that is summoned that is Yubel or mentions Yubel, I get an encounter on it. And I can remove it to gain different effects. Most of the time, you'll never reach the 5, which is funny. You can just search Super Volley if you have like 5 counters, but it's super troll, but that doesn't really come up. Usually, you're using it to every time you bring one, you'll have a counter. You can bring back a Yubel from grave, so your Yubel's never gone. And you can also add back any banished card. Like today, during tournament, I activated Ash, and then I had Shifter that was live, so my Ash was banished. And then later in the turn, I activated Mature Chronicle just to grab back my Ash from the banish zone. So this card is actually pretty crazy. It doesn't have to grab a Yubel card, you just grab a banished card. So it's pretty crazy. Then we play the 3 of Nightmare Pain. It's your essential road of the deck. You pop a dark monster in your hand or field to grab a card that mentions Yubel besides itself. So usually I was grabbing the trap card, which is a super poly. I was grabbing either sometimes one of these to continue extending, or I would grab a Spirit of Yubel. So it's your way to trigger by popping your Yubel and your Spirit of Yubel to get your play started. And it also forces my opponent, if I have Yubel, that if their attack position monsters must swing at my Yubel, and they'll take the damage. So if I have Spirit of Yubel or the actual Yubel with this on board, my opponent's taking double the damage. So they're taking the damage from Yubel and the effect itself. So if they had a 3k monster, they swung at Yubel, they're taking 3k from Yubel and 3k from this. So this card is super crazy to have on board. Most people don't tend to like pop it or remove it. I had my opponent playing Snake Eyes. They made full board, so trying OTK, they went enter battle. I had this face up. I activated my Spirit of Yubel, and they were essentially pretty screwed. They had to swing with all of their monsters, and they took all of that damage. So
I mean, like you did to me yesterday?
yeah, pretty much. You know, the cards is absolutely insane. For consistency, we play, Prosperity. I've been asked why not extra, but you have so many like super important targets, in your extra deck that serve utility that you don't want to go missing. So I think Prosperity is just too good, and letting you dig for 6 cards is just insane. So nothing to be said about that. Obviously, Heart and Soul the deck. Most people play 2. I'm crazy. I want to see this card. I want to resolve it. So you're gonna get caught by this. And if it resolves, you win the game. Then we have the trap card, Super Poly. This one comes up a little bit more often. This is a once per turn recursion from my banish zone or my graveyard of a Yubel monster or a monster that mentions Yubel, which is insane. Or I can send it to the grave and pitch a card to just Super Poly. So most of the time my opponent would read the first effect and it was like, oh, that's fine. And then on occasion it's like, oh, yes, I just have a trap card that is a Super Poly. Yeah, you just didn't see it coming or you weren't ready for it. And this card is actually just super cracked. I was super happy to have the one. The one other brick that I play to set off of the Sharara, for Yubel, because of her in-phase effect where I have to tribute a monster, sometimes I have to tribute off my Link 2, so having this reset this, and then on my opponent's turn, I just brought back the Link 2 that I attributed. I essentially felt like I almost wasn't paying the cost of the Yubel, and it was a really good way to avoid having to deal with it, so that's really about it. And then, pretty standard, the 3 Imperm. Yep. That's it for the main board. It is 42. So it's a little heavier than I wanted it to be, but overall serves well. As for the extra deck, I play a little OTK engine. Spirit of Yubel plus Yubel. You'll detach for my opponent for 2k. There are times where honestly I didn't even make the Libe. I would just crash into like my opponent's monsters. They'll take 3k. Then I'll stack in main phase 2 and just burn them to finish off for game. This is just a way for you to sometimes clear over problematic cards. Like, people think, oh, you don't have to worry about battle phase and stuff like that because, your monsters, the opponent takes the damage. But there's a lot of cards in this game that are very dangerous to deal with, like SP, stuff that really checks whether or not you can interact with them in different ways. So just having a way to clear, even if this gets answered, felt really good. And this goes up to like 6k and swings at like everything. Is just ridiculous. I also play the Typhon. Like I said, my monsters are 0/0. If I get impermed or something goes crazy, something goes wrong, and I don't have a way to access Super Poly or a way to check my opponent's board, just being able to drop this down on something and check something is really good. For the Super Poly targets, I play the Garura, the Mud Dragon, the Earth Agnister, and the most broken Super Poly target right now, which is why I love the deck, is the 2 Yubel. I wish they had kept the old name, Das Ewige Leiber, but they changed it to the Loving Defender. But this card is insane. I can use my opponent's essentially entire board. So it's a Yubel monster plus any number of effect monsters. So it doesn't matter what they have on board. You're not reading their cards. You're just saying, give it to me. Also, on Fusion Summon, it burns them for every material you use. Not just their monsters, yours as well. So it'll count your own Yubel that you use to make it. So it's crazy for the burn damage, and it can't be destroyed by battle or card effects. So this is a real problem to deal with. Also, if it swings after damage calculation, my opponent takes the damage, and then I can just banish the monster. So this was actually like super crazy removal that people weren't ready for. They had to read this card like 3 or 4 times, so it was just funny overall. Then for my link package, I play the One Nightmare Unicorn, the Dark. I play the Muckracker. This card was the MVP today, realistically speaking, being able to just bring back all of my stuff from the grave because everything's a fiend pretty much. The Unchained package, I play the One Anguish, the One Abomination, the One Rage, and the One Yama. I'm thinking about upping the Yama to 2, or maybe even the Muckracker to 2, because it just felt like the grind game was a little bit more important than I initially believed. I thought I was going to be able to just, enter battle and clear everything, but the games are going a little bit harder, so I was super happy to have it. Overall, nothing really I would change besides, like I said before, maybe a second Yama or even a second Muckracker, but pretty standard.
How do you feel the deck holds up against today's current meta?
Honestly, it did really good against Fire King. Like, most of their removal besides Flame Bird setting something in the spell and trap, if you have 1 or 2 Yubels on field, your opponent really struggles to find a way to deal with both. They'll have to go through like awkward lines, sometimes forcing an SP and then a Flame Burge to set it in the spell and trap zone, SP to banish, and then you'll catch them off guard like with the trap card, bring back the one that they just banished, and having Nightmare on Pain on board is so good. Your opponent burns so much resources trying to check your board. You'll have the Eternal Nightmare to super poly the entire board away, and you also have a lot of strange interactions because they'll try to Promethean pop, and they'll special summon, and then you'll trigger your own Yubel, special summon back Ultimate Nightmare or a regular Yubel, and then your opponent's kind of stuck in a situation where they thought they were furthering their game state, but they're just giving you more damage on board for them to take, which is always good to have. I like the matchup a lot, like I said, and it's really good because you can afford to play, like I said, the game-winning card shifter. Overall, it's a super fun deck, I think. Probably not, high up there with Snake Eyes and stuff like that, but it's pretty competitive, and I'm really happy that I got a chance to play it today.
Yeah, it was really impressive. I was actually happy. Well, I ain't gonna say happy. I was impressed how you was able to out my entire board so effortlessly.
Appreciate you.
Any shout outs?
I want to shout out the boys at Ocean Gang, my team. They always help me out, teaching me things.
Ocean Gang?
Oh, yes, sir. Ocean Gang. My boys at Cool Stuff, obviously. My boy Russ right here helping me out. Honestly, just everyone at my locals and the people that I play with. So overall, that's all I want to give thanks to.
Appreciate you for sharing, man. Showing us a cool deck. I'm definitely stealing some of that stuff. Give us a like, subscribe. Shout out to Team YGO.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.